All right, we are live. It is another week and another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
And I'm Dr. Erica Peabody. Sorry we missed you last week. Just sometimes. But anyway, we're here
It was my
today. Yeah.
It was all my fault. I was not feeling well and I couldn't get out of bed, but I'm here today for you. And, I'm super excited today. We have a really special show, and not too many people can be entrepreneurs, just incredible people and humans, maintain a business for 5 years, let alone 20. And so today we are celebrating Dr. Erica. So let's give it up for her in the chat, and celebrating 20 years in business. And so I'm super excited because I actually am going to be able to ask some questions that I'm very curious to know. And I know all of you are going to be just blown away at just everything she has to say. I have the privilege of sitting behind closed doors with Dr. Erica and just being in her presence. And she's really a force to be reckoned with, and one of the best humans that I could ever have the privilege of knowing. So with that, congratulations on 20 years of success. How does it feel?
It actually feels impossible that it's been that long already. That's really what it happens. It's wild, and it went really fast. And so 10 years in school and then 20 years since. And I don't feel like I should be able to say any of those numbers. That's how I feel. I mean, I feel I'm perpetually going to stay 32 years old. And in my mind, that's kind of where I'm at, because, I mean, let's be honest, like, we just got to get at least to your 30s to really be like, have any idea about anything.
Yeah.
But, it just feels time flies. It flies. Life goes really quickly, and almost to like a really alarming kind of alarming pace.
Like poof, we blinked, right?
Yeah, and I'm one of those people. So I do my best to seek out rich, rewarding experiences, and that has always been the framework that I work inside of. And so, also, I think there's a certain level of naivety. What's the word?
Naivety, something like that. I think you're close enough.
Being naive, that sometimes in the second decade and the beginning of the third decade of life, like, it's a great time to do something super risky and open a practice from nothing. And some of the students getting out of school, and maybe some of you are listening, they'll ask me questions, because I think even you and I are both pretty youthful. Like, they think that we would have some sort of recent experience of opening a practice. But I'm like, it was so long ago. Like, everything has changed in 20 years. So I think that's the other part about it too, is like the naiveness back then made it okay to take the jump and the leap. And then now have become, a health leader. Both of us have become health leaders in our community. And it's like, wait, how did I even get here?
Well, and you bring up such a great point, because when we think back to that opening up a practice, hanging our own shingle, we just jumped into it, and we just did. And then we look back on it, and, there were downturns, and then we had to kind of restart sometimes. And when you look back, you go, holy moly, that was so hard. And I can't believe that we all have been able to do it and do it successfully. So I do want to get into some of the challenges that you've had. But before I do that, I really would like to know your origin story. So what led you down the path to even becoming a chiropractor?
This goes on and on, right? So fortunately for me, I have chiropractors in my family, and my mom is one of 10 kids, and her favorite sister is 18 months younger than her. And fortunately for all four of us children, my brothers and I, my aunt was going through school when my mom was having us. And so my aunt was learning about chiropractic in kids, chiropractic after birth, chiropractic during pregnancy, and all of that. So my mom was participating in chiropractic care so long ago. And that's awesome.
That's our
And
friend from Africa, by the way,
yes,
who gives us an
hello.
international channel. Thanks for being here, Baptiste. So nice to see you.
That's so good. So fortunately, we were able to get chiropractic care right from the start. And so I grew up having chiropractic care. We were adjusted at least once a month my whole life. And then, we did all the normal toddler things, childhood things, sports, all that, and went off to college. And I started at Michigan State. All I knew since I was 5 years old is that I was going to be a Spartan. That's all. That's all I knew. And my mom and I were.
For that.
What's that?
We'll forgive you for that.
I know.
Forgive you for that.
My mom would explore. She would explore ideas about careers with me all the time. Of course, since my junior and senior year, it was like, it was going to be a civil engineer. I was always really good at math and science. So, and I loved learning. And so it was civil engineer, then it was physician's assistant, and then it was like lots of other different things. And so don't ever do this, but I started my undergrad at a big university, undeclared major. Don't do that. Pick something, because you just get shuffled around. Mm-hmm. And so I was undeclared until the second semester that I was there, and everyone's taking the same classes anyways. Like, you got to get your basics out of the way. But I woke up in my second semester in February, in the middle at 2 a.m. And I said, I'm gonna be a chiropractor. And I went back to sleep, and that was it. So I called my mom the next day and I said, why did you never suggest chiropractic? And she said, well, I figured you wanted to get through school quickly. I didn't think you wanted to do that much school, and you wanted to get out and have a family like I did. And so that's just what her assumption was. And so fortunately for me, that fit. And I wish I could go back and figure out exactly what day in February it was. But so yeah, now
but something just hit you. You just had like an epiphany. And
I did. And it makes so much sense to me. And I feel really fortunate that, I'm 30 years from making that decision, actually 29 years from making that decision 29 years ago and a month ago, that it fits me better even after 10 years of school and after 20 years in practice. Like, it fits better every single day. And I remember going to chiropractic college, and I don't know if you felt this, and question for you would be, when I got to chiropractic college, people would share how they got to chiropractic. And it was so many ways that chiropractic chose the person rather than the person choosing that as a vocation or as a career path. It was like, I had this injury and all of a sudden I landed in a chiropractic office, or it was this, or somebody was dying or whatever. My mom couldn't function, and then they just walk this path. And so chiropractic has a way of choosing who's going to be doing chiropractic rather than us really choose. So did you have that experience too at school?
So it's interesting you asked that question. Yes, I know that experience very well. And for years, I was like, I don't have a chiropractic origin story. And I actually felt kind of left out. But then I was like, well, I guess I'm grateful that I didn't have some kind of an injury that drove me to that. But yeah, I didn't have I was like, I don't really have a story. I just wanted to be in holistic care. And my sister suggested it. And then I went off to chiropractic college. Like, it was just that dumb, right? And yet I think about that and I'm like, that's my origin story. Like, I was led to that path.
Oh, right.
And then connecting the fact that, and then connecting the fact that on day one, I'm sitting in class and they're like, the first chiropractic adjustment was given on September 18th, 1895. And I was like, oh my God, September 18th, that's my birthday. Like, I was like, there it is, but I didn't connect that even until years later. So yeah, I totally get it. I think there is this way of, it's like, it draws us, right? It finds us. And well, and of course we know that chiropractic in general has challenges, the profession. Like, were there times when you wavered as far as like, it is hard. It's like, we're up against a narrative. We're up against a huge medical narrative, and drug commercials, and it's this constant, we're like trying to shout from the rooftops to help people in natural ways. Like, where did you land on that kind of experience? Did you ever feel like, I just want to go back to medical school, or I just want to do something easy, or, tell me about some challenges that you had around that.
No, so I actually never really have run across, like, I wish I wouldn't have. I've never had that feeling, which that's why I feel so fortunate. But a couple of things. So we are working against the narrative. So when I tell people I don't have TV at home, they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, I cannot sit down in front of a TV after teaching health principles all day long and get behind the drug commercials. Like, and so therefore I can't support TV at all. Plus, we all should be getting up off of our behinds and moving anyway. We shouldn't be sitting long hours in front of the TV. Now, it's not to say I don't sit and watch a movie, but I do not support regular media because of the brainwashing that happens there. So that was a big, like, as long as I wasn't doing that, that helped me stay my course of like not having to hear how my message is negated, that I just taught all day long, all week long. So I've never been behind that, but I do remember 2 years into practice, and I was doing the practice thing, which is, at that time was 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And I was doing, 3-hour shifts, just like I'm doing right now. And I was going to the gym, and I was eating food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I was going to sleep, and I was waking up, and I was eating breakfast. And it was like, I called my mom and I said, like, is this it? This is what you do? Like, you just go to work and then you go to sleep and then you wake up and you go back to work and you go, like, is this what this is all about? And she said, yeah, that's it. Like, it was I remember it so clearly, and my mom could probably even have this conversation too, but I was like, so 2 years in, I'm having this conversation, and I said, thank God I chose a profession where I get to help people. And so I am driven by helping. And actually, I have that testimonial. I should probably read that, the one that drives me every single day. That I get to help people. I'm not just sitting behind a computer somewhere. I'm not a civil engineer somewhere. I'm not delivering drugs somewhere. I'm not a physician's assistant somewhere. I told my mom's a nurse. I told my mom, I'm going to be a nurse. 100%. You're not working for somebody. And if you guys know me well, like, I don't sit quietly and idly by anywhere. And wouldn't actually, I really do feel like I could go and work for somebody now, because I would love to just adjust and not have to run the practice and stuff like that. Right. So my hardest part in practice is I don't always love being an employer. That's not my strong suit. Fortunately, I've learned to be an employer with grace for the most part. My staff along the way would say something a little bit different than that. But I have, so as an employer, we do have to work with humans, and it's just trying to figure out how to run my practice and do what I love to do. But I also need people to help me do that so that I can do it the way that I want to do it. And so for that, but somebody asked me last week, like, how are you at 20 years? And how are you as excited? How are you this way? Like, where does that come from? And I had to sit with myself over the last month or the last week since that was asked. And so I am a chiropractor, but I also invest in real estate. And the real estate, one of the pieces I've invested in is this building. And if you're familiar with Fenton at all, or you've watched any of my social platforms, this building has a life of its own. Now, yes, my contractor answers the phone. Dr. Peabody's crisis hotline. How can I help you? He literally answers the phone that way, because there's always something going on. Always, always, always. But it keeps it exciting and interesting. And one of the things that I love to do, and I haven't done it lately because I just haven't had the energy for it, is I love coming in here off hours. And Lisa, my current office extraordinaire MVP, she'll say, you were in over this weekend? Because, like, a little something will be touched up here and a little something will be moved there. Like I love coming in and tinkering in the building. I love tinkering. I love that kind of stuff. Like I love like growing and expanding and breathing life into other parts of the building. So that is one of the things that drives me and excitement in the practice is because I get to tinker inside the space I'm in. I feel like, and you probably feel this too in your standalone building, like if we were just in a strip mall doing like the regular standard, like triple net, like, you know, you got Jimmy John's on one side and a coffee shop on the other. Although I would love the coffee shop close. It doesn't give you like the autonomy of the space. And this particular spot I'm in right now is so incredible. And actually my last building, being able to tinker with it, upgrade it, know that the upgrades were going to investment of my own, that part drives me every single day. It makes it fun, interesting, and people love being here.
Yeah,
So
you have a beautiful, beautiful space. And I do want you to talk about that for a minute because okay, so you've been there, I think 5 years, right?
now,
7. Okay. So, talk a little bit about where you were at prior and you have this building, and did you always have this vision of having this major wellness space? And I know you've talked about it, but I don't know that I think it's worth repeating about what you've actually created. It's pretty outstanding. So, what was the evolution of that? And, did you have your sights set on it, or was it like, oh my God, I just need to jump on this? Like, walk us through that
yeah.
experience.
So I'm just going to start from my very first practice location. So I'm a mountain girl. My heart lives in the mountains, but my family is here. So I lived out west for a lot of years. And then when I was halfway through chiropractic college, my husband and I were going to move back out west always. That was always our plan. And then we got divorced. And then I was single and I was trying to work with divorce in the middle of chiropractic college. And by the end of school, it was like, well, I'm not going to go out west by myself. So I'll just move home. And I'll move home and figure it out. And I was debilitated for 3 months in so much pain and discomfort because I never processed my divorce. And so it was like, now that I have quiet time, now it's time to process my divorce, apparently, because it was quite traumatic. And so
Whether you wanted to or not, it sounds like.
yeah, it was. And it was like, okay, I'm going to find a space here. So my highest priority being in Fenton was to find a 1-year lease. And commercial real estate, you cannot find 1-year leases. That is not common. Usually it's 3 to 5 minimum. And so that was my highest priority. So I found a place with a 1-year lease. And some days I couldn't even move my body. Like I was in just like the emotional expression was coming through, and I was just really, really, really in a bad place. And so I committed to myself, I will do one thing every single day to move me forward. Now that one thing could be as simple as going out and buying one single pen for 35 cents or whatever that would be. Like as long as I did something every day to move me towards that. So I moved home.
Great lesson, by the way. I hope you guys are hearing this. That's a beautiful lesson.
Yeah, just something. It didn't matter. It didn't even have to be big, just something. And so 3 months into being home.
How many pens did you acquire?
Well, I remember going out that one day and it was like, okay, maybe the next time I'll just get Post-it stamps or Post-it notes. You know what I mean? Like it was something. And anyway, I took out a small business loan. I had the first bank come to me and say, well, we had another female chiropractor that we lent money to, and she didn't succeed. So you're kind of lumped into that. I was like, no one's ever told me no, ever. Like, what are you talking about? So anyway, so I went to, another bank and I got a small loan, and I only used half of it to open, and I paid it all back within 6 months, and I just got up and got going. And so then it evolved to the next location, which was more right downtown, which I loved. And then I was able to purchase a building, in 2010 was my first purchase of a building. And I was just driving by. I happened to know the CEO at the bank. It was bank owned at the time. And so my realtor took my offer to the real estate agent, but he was waiting for one of his own buyers. So he sat on my offer, but my realtor took it right to the bank CEO, and they signed it because a full price offer at that time had to be signed, and it just goes through. And there was 13 or 14 more offers within 2 days, but mine was already signed. So fortunate.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So fortunate. I do know when I need to move. So I was there for until 2018. So this building came available. I saw it on Zillow because I'm constantly looking. I have other investments around the area, constantly looking. And so the origin story of this building starts with a Zillow look, but it actually starts way before I was a chiropractor. So when I was around 17 or 18, I started having this dream at nighttime, to the point that I could draw this place out for you. But I had a Patch Adams center. So I had a center like Patch Adams that people would fly into, but it was so big, and it was an old pink Victorian. And the pink Victorian comes from another house that I didn't know I was at when I was 4 years old. It was so big that I moved my family into the back of it, and I practiced out of the front. And it was like,
this was the dream.
Oh
my God.
Since I was about 17. Yeah. This was way before I was even a chiropractor. And it wasn't until 2 years into buying this building and moving into it that I realized that I'd been having that dream for like 25 years. And so I've been here now 7 years. And like I said, it was like 2.5 or 3 years in before I was like, oh my God, I real lifed that at night dream, not daydream, at night dream. And I have a very vivid dream world. And so anyway, it was just a whole thing. So once I saw this listing, it was in February of 2018. I sent it out to my realtor. I said, what's up with this place? And then I just started walking due diligence, walking through the path to buy it. And then it just got silly not to. And I didn't necessarily need this humongous wellness center. I have 10,000 square feet, 17 office spaces in this building. And I didn't need that much space, but then it just started working out.
It took on a life of its own.
It did. It still had, and we're only like 50% potential at this point, not meaning 50% occupied, but we're right in the center of downtown. I have a carriage house outside. I have a third floor. It's potential to do so many different things with the space that I'm working in, and for me to shift into a different spot in the building. Initially I was like, it'd be awesome if it became like a chiropractic center of the region. Like I would have loved to move all the local chiropractors into one location, which people don't think like that ever. But I was like,
medical practices do it all the time. Why not chiropractors?
I know, exactly. And it was like, why are we all out there doing individual overheads in individual buildings when this could become the central hub of chiropractic? And so I have other health and wellness people. So there's like mental health, IV hydration, there's meditation, massage therapy. I have sauna, red light therapy, laser therapy, esthetician. So there's lots of other people in the building, which has come to fruition. I still envision another 1 or 2 chiropractors moving in at some point. We'll see. So
you hear that, chiropractors, there's an opportunity hanging out there. He keeps trying to get me up there, the only reason I say no, like literally, if you and I were closer, if my bubble and what I do on a daily basis wasn't so freaking separate from that area, it's a no-brainer. It's a freaking no-brainer, right? Like, so what an opportunity for new chiropractors, seasoned.
Yeah, well, I had that opportunity. There was a new one that moved in, and then she decided to just launch herself down the street and undermine my whole practice. So there's that part too. Well, so that's awesome. Not what I want.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's not learn from the seasoned vets, right? So I mean, seriously, I think this is also where people, from a business perspective, when you look at, your level of experience and things that you could offer from just to help teach people and fast track them to greater success. I know that's one story, but what are some things that you would tell, let's say, either a chiropractic student or a younger chiropractor, what's some words of wisdom that you would offer somebody that would help, like, let's say the person who did that, that would help them sort of go, yeah, that was not a cool thing to do. And what you did was you cut off a lifeline to an incredible source of mentorship. So give us some insight on that. And what kind of advice would you tell people to make sure they don't do that? Don't screw it up.
Yeah. So one of the things that is really happening right now is our world is, especially with politics and health coming together this time around, our world is now realizing that their health is their responsibility and that they didn't know that health is created in a chiropractic office. So that's one of the reasons why we put this podcast together, because it is so important for us to take what we're doing as far as promoting and expanding health and take it outside of our four walls. So that's number one, is that there's not enough of us out there, and there's more people leaving the profession and retiring than are coming in right now. So there are a lot of us seasoned docs that are willing to increase the energy, because the other part is when you bring another doc in, it's not like a linear relationship. Now you have two incredible docs in one space, like bringing the energy, magnetizing the energy. And it's pretty profound what happens inside of our profession when it's done really well in integrity. So it's a really awesome thing to, like, people will come to me and say, how do I open a practice? I don't know how to open a practice in 2025. I know how to open a practice when I did it in 2005. And it's just a different kind of world right now. So there was no social media at the time. There was barely, I mean, we had the internet, of course,
hustle.
but it wasn't like it is now,
It was serious hustle.
It was, and it always will be, but it's also like nothing is handed to us. But if you do the work and you just show up, the most important part of having a good practice is showing up consistently. And that means your scheduled, designated hours, you're there, but you take care of your life, your personal and emotional and chemical and physical needs outside of here, so that it's important to show up consistently inside of here every single day. So there's a certain threshold that, or punchkis if you prefer, there's a certain threshold that I step over and I cross when I'm coming into the practice. So there's an actual door I open. There's a way I come in. There's a certain way that I move forward and into my practice every day. But I also don't come in until 10 on my days, because I need a little bit of time to like get up, get my energy going. Wednesdays, I actually love our Wednesday mornings are really early. We start at 7:30. But it's like, I just need that flex and the ability to make sure that I'm on point when I show up here. Some people will ask me, oh, you're going on vacation, or like, I have a convention coming up. Are you excited for convention? I'll be excited for convention when I'm at convention. Like, present time consciousness for your healthcare provider is the most important thing. So whatever gets me to that present time consciousness is my most important things that I do every single day. And I know you feel that same way too. It's like, we need to make sure we're fueled right. We got, our shakes going, we got water going, we got our yoga going regularly, our movement every single day. I know. So like, this is what it looks like around here. Like, I know. And this is how it is. And we're not sitting back here scrolling on our phones. We're like getting our work done. We're staying the course when we're here. And so anyway, that has really been the key. And then, it's just doing that day in and day out. And life is not in the excitement of the day. It's in the life is found in the consistency and the monotony of the day to day that keeps letting you show up day to day. So I know soapbox stuff right now.
So great.
I know this literally this episode and like what fires me up about what I'm doing. This is like a whole afternoon of conversation. That's how I feel.
I know, we get to sit down and just jaw it out, right? And so you touched on something as far as mindset and present time consciousness and showing up for your patients. And I know you and I both, we pour our hearts and souls into our patients, and we oftentimes we show up and we have our own shit going on, but we leave that at the door. That stays there. And that oftentimes we come in and whatever we have going on, we get fueled and refueled by the energy that we receive from helping heal people. And so, but then we also talk about how it can be exhausting at the end of the day. So, talk to people, give us some idea of how do you refuel yourself? How do you recharge and regenerate from a day or a week of taking care of people and just pouring your heart and soul into healing others?
Yeah, and especially at 20 years in, things have changed and evolved over the years, of course, and just my body is just it's 20 years older. You know what I mean? So,
It is, because you don't look it, just saying.
thank you. Actually, I think it's just when you're fueled properly from the inside out, right? I had a patient in this week and she was like, I'm getting stiffer and sore and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, are you moving your body? Well, no. I'm like, what are you waiting for? She's like, well, I said, our body is fueled by movement. So that has to be part of it. And she said, if you don't mind, please don't tell my wife because she's been telling me that all for the last couple of weeks. I'm like,
then do it.
Answer. That's the answer. Like, there's no way around it. And especially in Michigan, it's gray, it's cold, right? So movement for sure is one of my 100% go-to. It's non-negotiable. However, I can tell you, I haven't felt amazing this winter. Like, I feel good, but not amazing. And I personally am learning this lesson. I have not ever acknowledged seasons. I move my body every single day, all season, every season, no matter what. What I found lately, and this is probably because I'm approaching the end of the fourth decade of life, I just need a little more rest. I need to, people in the spring and summertime, they're like, are you going to the farmer's market? It's 6:00 on Thursday. Thursday, I finish my week. I'm not, because I can't do all the peopling and do all the peopling in here and then do all the peopling out. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like to be outside of my community. I like to go out and like dip myself in yoga studio. And now I've created, another practice down in Brighton now, but I like to go and hang out with Dr. Paula. We'll go to a yoga class together and hit brunch and like sit and just unload together. You guys don't know this, but Dr. Paula and I are on video with each other every single day, back and forth as messages instead of text messages and phone calls, because she's doing her thing, I'm doing mine. We're on video, like talking about the day, talking out the day, like those kinds of things help revive me. Of course, staying super hydrated, prioritizing my rest more than ever. Like if I can it's the more hours before midnight that we can get sleeping is the gold, and the magic of our rest happens before midnight. So the couple hours, if I can do that before midnight, that is what I'm prioritizing these days, because I love doing this. I love going through that door and helping the people. I freaking love it. And you probably feel the same way with your dog in the practice too. Like the dogs are a great combination of like allowing the patients to have a little dog therapy too. Like Lewis has been the greatest buffer for me of loving the patients even more, with still like having enough energy for the next patient, if that makes sense. So
They look forward to it. They look forward to seeing the dog more than they look forward to us.
I'm a sideshow here.
I know.
Like a side cart. Lewis,
today was
the man of the hour. I had an appointment for myself this morning before work, so I didn't get a chance to bring him. He was all pissed off.
Oh,
with my little brother. But everyone's like, "Where's Lou? Where's Lou?" I'm like, I'm still here.
What am I, chopped liver?
Yes, and I'm okay with that because he is a saint. So I'll give him all. He can have all the love. And you guys all know, I mean, 95% of my practice has dogs as well, and like they deserve the world and more. They really do. And I just feel that more and more in my heart every single day. And I'm like, he has the best life. Everybody tells him they love him. Oh my hundreds of times a week, couple hundred times a week. He's told, I love you. You're the best. You're the best dog ever. And that's not even mom gushing over him. Right. That's all the world gushing over him. So I love it. It's so much fun. It really is.
Yeah, this morning we had a rocket morning this morning, and it was so great because, people are walking in and for whatever reason this morning, everybody needed a little something extra. You ever have days like that?
Yeah.
And, and everybody needed a little something extra. And yet, so I was taking a little more time with people, and yet everybody else was totally fine because they're petting the dog and they're talking, and it's like this community. It's such a beautiful community that we create here. And then you're right, that dog becomes this buffer.
Yeah.
But then also especially first thing in the morning when he's super excited and I'm trying to get him in his place and he thinks that he can hump everybody. So I'm like talking to the patient. I'm like, okay, tell me what's going on. And I'm like, oh, and I'm in my like healing zone. And then I'm like, get in your place. Like,
Yes, that's what I did want to do. I'm going to I'll send you a Will Ferrell skit. Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I did not want
about parenting. When he's like,
get off the shed.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I did not want to happen. And Lou is an absolute angel here, so he does not or do anything. But so I got this message this morning. I know it's a whole thing in our office.
It is a whole thing.
Yeah. So I got this message this morning, and it was a friend of mine, and her daughter started to come, and her daughter's now going to have my friend's first grandbaby, and so anyway, she was saying, like it's so lovely that her daughter, and I won't mention names, but her daughter gets a chance to be under chiropractic care and is learning so much about. And when I'm down at the in my other office, it's a different flavor than it is here, and I have a little bit more time, and I show up and whatever I wear whatever down there. And actually, I have a friend who used to say, we're not connected anymore. He's like, do you just throw clothes up in the air? Like whatever lands on your body, that's what you wear. So I don't always do that here, but I do that outside of here. I just put whatever. And so anyway, and I said to her, oh, it's so great. I said, I just love her sweetness and her warrior mentality and just how much she's done already to empower herself to deliver this baby. And then she's a joy and blah, blah, blah. I have lots of pregos here and there, and it's really awesome for me, and it fuels my soul. I have less pressure, and I love teaching inside of my role as a doctor. It's my greatest honor and the reason why I do what I do. So when you say add a little extra something, everybody need a little extra communication, a little extra. Like I had a patient come in this morning and she's like, I have to ask you this question. You don't have to answer it, but what do you think about Ozempic? And I'm like, not for her, but her friend was asking her this. And I'm like, I have my own things, but I also have done the research to help people understand where health is truly coming from. And those principles don't ever change. They don't ever change. So they're brought into, we're already at like 40 minutes. So
yeah. Well,
where do we
we
go?
talked about that before.
Is for an hour and a half here. Like,
oh my God, it's 1:30. Wow. Okay. All right. So let's land the plane. Let's wrap this up because I'm not quite. This really could have gone so much longer.
So next week is the actual
anniversary.
The anniversary is the 12th, which is Wednesday. So maybe next week we'll just kind of tweak a few questions and bring in some more stuff, but maybe it does.
Oh yeah.
20 years might deserve 2-ish episodes.
Well, I have some questions like I wanted to ask you, but we typically talk about this on the podcast on a weekly basis is like a transformational story. So I'm going to put a pin in that one for you for next week. So what was one transformational story in your practice? But I think to wrap up, what I would love, and I think what our listeners would love to know is, where do you see the future of chiropractic and holistic health? And how do you see us as chiropractors? What's our role for the future of
I got goosebumps from head to toe, and I'll actually post up because I wanted to. That thing that I copied and sent to you over text, which was like ChatGPT was talking about chiropractic and like why chiropractic first. So I'll put that up because the person who posted it I reached out to her. I said, can you make that shareable? But so not that ChatGPT has all the answers, right? But the answer that it had to what is chiropractic all about was chiropractic should be used first. It should always be used. Everybody should be going to a chiropractor. Like, we need to take care of the spine. The spine is not replaceable. And that the nervous system controls and coordinates everything through the spine. And all of that needs to be running 100% for us to be optimized. That is a principle that's going to live on forever. And I feel really fortunate that we've created this platform, because that's what we share every single time we're here, right? Is that the body's self-healing, self-regulating. It needs just no interference, and let us help you do that. So that's part of it. But chiropractic should be first before any medication is taken. I have a list of that one patient that came in. She's got a list of 25 medications on this list right here. She's in so much pain. She's in her upper 70s. I would never put one of those drugs in my body, because I know what my body needs, which is no interference. Get checked. Is that what you said? Check it out.
Yeah. No, I think he said, no, I think Kenny's just being a jokester at this point. So
yeah. Is that what's going on over there? So
we've got the peanut gallery going on here.
I love having people that are here. So thank you so much.
I know, for sure. We love the engagement. Yeah. We appreciate it.
So chiropractic is leading, is part. I just want to say part of the leading the tide of health. Like, we're the highest credentialed and largest population in the wellness industry. So that is first and foremost. And there's not even a profession that's even close running behind that. So I love that about us, and that we get to help right from the start, adjusting infants, prior to that, pregnancy, preconception, and it just goes on. And then it goes on beyond everything else. So how do I see myself? I can't imagine not adjusting. I can't imagine not doing what I'm doing. I would like a little more like flavor and juice, that I'm starting to realize. Like, I love the health coaching aspect of it. I don't get to do a lot of it during practice, but I would love somebody to come into the practice and be able to work with a lot of the patients while I sit and help them individually, or with pregnancy. I still have so much to learn and so much to do. I'm looking at a new certification, hopefully by the end of this year, to help in lactation. So I'm looking towards that. It never stops. And we are the go-to place for all that. And I love that about us. And I expect myself to do big things. I was born expecting myself to do big things. So I don't always sit around and be like, but 20 years is like, okay, sit around and like, let me just take that in and write about it, read about it, reflect about it a little bit, because it is a big deal. So,
well, I'm not going to be the first, but I will be one of many people to pat you on the back, because I think also as entrepreneurs, we, and I'll just say also as single women, we can often feel like we're on an island, and it can get lonely, and it can get frustrating, and it can sometimes feel a little defeating. And so I think that's why it's so important. And I think that's also why we get so much benefit from the relationship of chatting every single day, and, and, just like I say, through video, so that we can make sure that we are here supporting one another. So, I really encourage everybody to make sure you have a solid support system, regardless of what it is that you do or you're going through. But it's so important to be able to have people you trust that you can lean on and share things with. And so Dr. Erica, you have done an incredible job, and you deserve a moment to take a deep breath and pat yourself on the back. And if you won't, then I will. So
you're so sweet. And for those of you out there who don't know, Dr. Paula and I are only 2 years into like the greatest friendship of all time. And
feels like forever.
I know. And it's really nice when we can come together and look at the world from the same lens, which chiropractic lifestyle gives a lens that we see our world through. And because of that, even when we have competitors down the street, we still love other chiropractors because they love what we love. And that's why our connection is so profound, because Dr. Paula loves what I love. And then also we are just a great combination and connection together. So thank you so much.
Yes, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the engagement and for showing up here. And once again, just give Dr. Erica some love for 20 years of just pouring her heart and soul into people and healing and her community. And she really is an incredible human, and I'm blessed to be her friend. So, all right. Thank you so much. And we'll catch you guys next week on another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. So thanks for being here. Make sure you share this out. Appreciate it.